Hello and welcome to this week's episode of For the Love of Chiropractic, 3 Keys of My Success. I'm your host, Dr. Robert Freeman, and on this week's episode, I have the opportunity to speak with another amazing doctor, and here's who he is.
Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Tony Rhodes. I am out of the Portland, Oregon region. And we essentially went from a brand new clinic to 3 years later doing multiple 7 figures in revenue. And we have 5 chiros, 7 massage therapists, and just an amazing staff. And we're growing every year. So I could not be more excited to be on here and share with you all.
Hello and welcome to Secrets of My Success, part of For the Love of Chiropractic podcast series. On each episode, I'll be interviewing one highly successful doctor or business person, asking them what are their 3 keys of success or secrets they've used to make themselves so highly successful. So let's get started with today's show. So I have with me on the phone today, Dr. Tony Rhodes. Tony, are you there?
I sure am.
It is so good to hear from you. And I know in the pre-chat, you told me that you guys just moved into a new home. Congratulations. And that is just fantastic. It sounds like life is really going well.
Oh, it's going fantastic. Yeah, we're loving the new space and growing a lot.
That's awesome. So for the benefit of the listeners, tell me, how long have you been in practice?
So approximately 14 years. So graduated from University of Western States 2011. And so I think that's about 14 years.
Perfect, and congratulations. So when you graduated 14-ish years ago, well, actually, let's go back before that. Briefly tell me your path. How did you become a chiropractor?
Yeah, it's definitely a unique journey, and but it's been a fun one. And so I grew up as a chubby, overweight, unhealthy kid. And I don't know what happened, if it was just God speaking to me or what, but I just said I can't live like this anymore. And I grew up around, just kind of a overweight, unhealthy kind of family, and just said enough is enough. And I actually went on the Atkins diet, which was a big fad there a while back, and lost a ton of weight. And it just popped into my brain that I wanted to help people live a better, healthier life naturally. And it just clicked in my brain about, wow, it's amazing how you can change the body naturally. And started, doing research about different types of doctors and shadowed chiros and had a lot of benefits and help from them with back pain. And that's kind of long story short.
Fantastic. Okay, so you went to Western States, great school, and you graduated. So upon graduation, did you associate or you opened right up?
Yeah, it was a bit of an interesting journey. I met my wife in chiropractic school too. So she is also a chiro, and we both worked with other doctors there for the first few years, essentially as independent contractors and associates. So we did that for the first few years, and thereafter we had some partnerships, and we were independent contractors sharing space. But then about 3 years ago, we broke off and just did 100% our own thing, and that's when things really took off for us.
So what happened? I want to focus on that for just a minute. What happened going from independent contractor associateship style to we broke off and did our own thing? And there had to be a moment of oh my God in there.
Yeah, I think when you're young, you're in your 20s, you're broke, you got student loans. It's kind of hard to make that jump into owning your own business. There's a lot of debt that you can take on top of your student loans. So, and let alone the lack of confidence of just how to practice as a chiro. Mm-hmm. So I think those things really deterred us from just going out on our own. We also were pretty heavily involved in a health and wellness multi-level business there for a while. And that kind of got us a little sidetracked, even though we learned a ton, grew a ton. But then again, it was kind of like God speaking to us that, hey, this is what I want you to do. And so we just said, you know what? We've been talking about doing this for a long time. We're in a better place financially. We got all our student loans paid off in, 6-7 years after graduating. And so we saved up and said, this is the time. And then we just went all in on our own clinic. And as you heard in the intro, essentially went from nothing to multiple 7 figures in the last 3 years.
That is fabulous. So I know you gave some of the highlights in the intro, but for the benefit of the listeners, again, tell me what makes your practice unique.
Yeah, I would say, there's a couple of things. I would say the number one unique thing, and it's really something that you would have to feel more than just telling you, but I would say it's our team culture. It's the staff, it's the team culture, it's the vibe, so to speak, that people feel walking in. I would say that's a very unique thing, and one reason why our clinic has grown so much. But also, it's a pretty big clinic. It's almost 4,000 square feet. We have 5 DCs in there, 7 LMTs, 4 or 5 front desk staff. So for a single location, I'd say it's a decent single location. But really the unique thing is the team culture. And I'd say one other thing, we're a bilingual clinic. So there's a lot of Spanish speaking folks in that area. So I would say those are kind of the key things that make us unique.
So, and maybe you're going to go into this when we actually get into your keys of success. But how do you create that team culture? How have you done that?
Yeah, that's not easy. And I think that's the secret sauce of any business, really, or any clinic. But I really think it starts with you knowing what you're looking for in a team member, having your team, culture and values written out. And then really when you start hiring, knowing what you're looking for and having that weaved in to even your ad. So it's drawing in the right people and then doing a good job of screening and hiring the right people. And then speaking it over your clinic, speaking it over your team that, hey, this is who we are. This is how we act. And having it up on the walls and just talking about it on a regular basis. I'm sure someone could write a whole book on it, but those are just a few of the key things that I believe has led to just an on-fire team with great culture.
I love that. And I couldn't agree with you more. It's funny you mentioned a book. Years ago, there was a business book, and it's almost become a time-honored classic, if not truly. The business book is called From Good to Great.
Okay.
And it focuses on, going from, there are lots of good businesses, but what changes them from good businesses to great ones? And one of the things they talk about is getting the right people on your bus. And then once they're on the bus, making sure that they're sitting in the proper seat on the bus.
Absolutely.
So, it sounds like you've never read that book, which is just fine, obviously. But you've discovered the principles on your own and created this amazing business. So kudos to you for that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I've heard of that book. I'll have to add that one to the library.
All right. So if you're ready to, I'd like to roll up our sleeves and really dig into what you think your 3 keys of success are.
Yeah, I would love to do that.
All right. So what would you say your first one is?
And I would just say these are 3 keys to my personal success. And maybe it's not for everyone, but I am a Christian man. And so keeping God number one and letting, him guide my decision making for me is one of my keys to success. And that goes with being financially responsible, how I view and treat staff, having this servant's heart. And I'm really working for our staff, not the other way around. And just being a dreamer, a go-getter. And so I would say those things, those Christian principles have really, done well for me. And I would say it's my number one key to success for me personally.
I love that. I love when you say the servant's heart. One of the things that I've talked about for years and years, and even mentioned it on an episode of the podcast last season, was during office hours, the great doctor goes to work for the staff. The front desk tells the doctor what they should be doing. It's not the other way around. And the fact that you've taken that to the next level, it just explains why you're such an exponential success.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm not perfect by any means. I always tell my staff that, but I would say that's definitely helped us grow.
Yeah. So as a Christian man, you keep God number one in your life, and you have the servant's heart. What's number two?
Well, number two, I would say, has been investing in myself before anything. So really before, for me, just the way I look at things, before I can lead somebody, before I can lead another doctor, before I can lead staff, I really need to lead myself. So I would say the number two key is leading myself. And I think about this, if I want to attract 10s, then I need to become a 10. I will not attract 10s if I'm a 6 or a 7.
Mm-hmm.
And so really, I need to invest in myself and really look at myself as the number one stock to invest in. And if I'm not willing to do that with investing in mentors, books, seminars, and taking that time to invest in training, it all starts with me. So I got to do that first. And my business is not going to outgrow me. And that's what I tell colleagues and things that maybe ask for some advice is, look, your business is not going to outgrow you. So it's only going to grow as big of a leader and server that you are.
Oh, that is so true. I couldn't agree more. I love these principles that you're laying out. And again, I'll quote another book. There's a military person by the name of Becky Halstead, and I don't want to quote her rank incorrectly. I believe she was a colonel, and served either in Iraq, Kuwait. It was one of the Arab nations when we were at war. And she has subsequently written a book, and the title of that book is "The First Person You Must Lead Is Yourself."
Okay.
And
I haven't read that one, but
you're just quoting all the greats, and you haven't even read these yet. That is amazing. And again, this is why you're the huge success that you are. So then, what's your third key to success?
Yeah. So the third key to success that I put, and it kind of relates back to what I was talking about before, is developing the people around you. So number two that I just mentioned was developing, the leader within, developing yourself. And once you do that, okay, now really the magic is developing the people around you, and investing in them. And so that's what I think is a key to growing a big business. You can't do it by yourself. You have to have other great leaders. And so developing those people, investing in them, having them go to trainings with you, really to me is a huge part of, running a successful clinic.
I love that. So I hope you don't mind me asking, again, you've created an amazing office in a surprisingly short amount of time, which I think is absolutely fantastic. And I'll bet you have goals of where you want to go and grow to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you mind sharing some of those with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So the beginning of this year, we had a team meeting, and that's with me, my wife, who's also chiro, and some of the other key staff. And, we're a multi-7-figure clinic right now, which is not too shabby, but, we talked about having multiple locations and, shooting for, $10 million in revenue in the next 2 to 3 years, which again is, you need that awesome team. And so that's kind of our big next goal as a clinic and revenue wise. I mean, there's obviously a lot of little goals underneath that, but
absolutely.
I would say that's kind of one of our big goals that we set as a team beginning of this year.
And thank you so much for sharing that. What I've seen from the years that I've been in chiropractic and the doctors that I've coached, part of the problem that chiropractors have in becoming more successful is they don't even know what's possible. And that was part of the birth of this podcast. So, so getting to talk to phenomenal doctors like yourself who have become wildly successful, far above what so many of our colleagues have been able to accomplish. What we're saying is, yeah, you can do that too.
Absolutely. Yeah. One of my favorite quotes, I think it was Jim Rohn, who I think Coach Tony Robbins says, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better.
Yeah.
I always keep that in mind. Anytime I hit a roadblock or I wish this was easier. No, I need to become better because things aren't going to get easier. I just need to become more skillful.
Right. And one of the things that I've seen over years and years is once somebody has done something, anything, what they've proven is it can be done.
Absolutely. But What is it? The 4-minute mile or 5-minute mile? Then the next year, like 10 people did it?
Right. It was the 4-minute mile. Nobody could break it back in the day. And then all of a sudden, once the record fell, someone broke it by, I think it was 3 seconds.
There you go.
All of a sudden, everybody was breaking 4 minutes. No big deal. Exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely not the smartest, person. I didn't get perfect straight A's. It's just been, a lot of hard work and dedication. And I honestly believe anybody out there listening to this can do it if they're just willing to put in the work, invest in themselves, get a game plan down. They absolutely can do that.
So you actually just answered my next question before I even got to ask it. So I like to ask every successful doc that I get to speak to. So can a young doctor or someone who's just out of school or someone who's not as successful as they want to be yet, is it still possible in today's world to become a huge success in chiropractic?
100% yes. I absolutely believe so. And I personally believe it's only gotten easier over the years. I've heard other things in groups of chiro circles, but I honestly think it's easier and easier to be successful. You think of things of like social media, that's totally free. You don't have to pay a dime for that. And so you can reach out to your community, build your own brand, get patients in that way. I mean, there's so many great companies out there willing to come and help you.
Oh, yeah.
So to me, yes. And so many amazing, access to podcasts like this. I mean, that wasn't there, 20, 30 years ago. So to me, just the information is endless. It's just actually, putting it into play. And I think my story serves well for the people that maybe are just kind of stagnant and have just kind of done the status quo the last 5-10 years, because we were in practice for 10 years before we really took off. Mm-hmm. So it's really at any time, I think you can reinvent yourself, re-engage, and just up the ante and act like you're new and just hit the ground running.
And catch fire.
Exactly.
So, all right, I got to switch gears slightly. 'Cause again, you've told us how incredibly successful the office is, which I'm just totally enamored with. So I have to ask you, how do you define business success?
Yeah, it's a great question. And, I think a lot of, a question like this can be very individually based. But I would say when I thought of that quote, there's a quote that came to mind. I want to say it's Earl Nightingale that came up with this quote, but I wrote it down. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy goal or ideal, and that it really is a journey and not so much a destination for me personally. So, I had lots of goals. I wanted to do, hit $1 million practice. And then when we got there, it's like, well, shoot, let's keep going. And so you see, you get on top of one mountain peak and you see, oh my goodness, there's a couple more up there. Well, let's climb that mountain peak.
Yep.
And so it really is an ongoing journey, but you have goals along the way, but to me, it's, a journey, not a destination.
I love that. So, let's switch gears again. So if it's the journey, not the destination, and that's your business goal, Tony, how do you define personal success?
Yeah, it's a great question too. And I've thought a lot about this, and I have over the years. It wasn't the first time that I've been asked this. And personal success to me is there's multiple factors. And what I wrote down here was having my faith and mental health on track. So that's number one. And winning in all these categories. So my faith walk, my mental health, my family. So having an incredible marriage. Because I've seen a lot of doctors that are more married to their business rather than their wife. And to me, that's just not personal success. If your business has hit a high, but you're losing in your household, to me, that's not personal success. So it's winning in my marriage, my relationship with my kids, friends and family. It's winning fitness wise. We work out 4 or 5 times a week. Me and my wife do that together, and we believe in just practicing what you preach. I want patients to look at me and go, wow, I want to be like that. I want to be healthy and have nice skin and be toned. And then kind of last on this list really is finances and business. So, what does it matter to win financially if all those things you're not winning in? So to me, lower on that list is winning in business and finances, and, securing my family's future financially and making sure the people around me are winning financially as well, including the doctors and the staff. So really, to me, personal success is winning in all those categories.
Wow. That is beautifully said. I love that. So sadly, our time is starting to run out. So I've got to ask you one more question. If a young doc has heard this interview and it's really sparked them, and they're like, you know what? I think maybe I can. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, Dr. Rhodes made me think I really can do this. What would you say to that doctor their first step is? What's the very first thing they need to take or do?
Yeah, to me, if you got that seed and you are getting excited and thinking, man, I believe I can do this, you absolutely have to take action immediately. And to me, what that action should be getting a hold of someone like you, Dr. Freeman, that can coach and mentor them and hold them accountable, because it's easy to back out a week later and let the excitement fizzle out. So you have to act immediately and get a coach, a mentor, an accountability partner to, sort of catch fire with you and walk you along that journey. So really you can't back out of that excitement.
Yeah, I love that. And frankly, I couldn't agree with you more. I love that advice. Wow. I'm Dr. Tony Rhodes. I can't thank you enough for taking the time and making the time to do this interview today. You're just an absolute rock star, and you deserve all the success that you are cultivating.
Well, right back at you. Thank you for your contribution to our profession, developing this podcast. I know it's reaching thousands and thousands of people out there. And so thanks for creating this platform that I can share and hopefully inspire some folks out there.
Absolutely. Tony, I'll look forward to speaking to you at some point in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right. And that's our show for today. If you have a question about today's show or your own practice, feel free to reach out at fortheloveofchiropractic.com. Before making changes to your practice, be sure to seek legal advice regarding those changes and regulations in your state. For the Love of Chiropractic is an RGF production, all rights reserved. And thanks for listening. Original music provided by Hunter Rich Music.